Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So today we are back in The Sims 4 and we are doing another build, and this one is inspired by an image I found on Pinterest because I tend to just scroll and I've got like a Sims 4 board full of inspiration and just ideas that I kind of want to recreate in the game, and I saw this one and I just had to do it, so I'll pop it on screen so we can all see it. And it's like this island tropical beach house maybe. It's a little bit more rustic, which I liked, and I like the open concept downstairs. So like it's got these big open double doors into the living area from outside, and I just thought it was super cool. One thing that is slightly different from mine though is I did try and find a lot so that we could kind of have the house here and then you could see the sea in the distance. So I literally went through basically every single lot that is on the Sims in Sulani, and I couldn't find one because what I soon realised was that you can't actually build pools on waterfront lots. It doesn't let you. So I've popped it on this lot here. It's not too far from the beach. If I like spin like the opposite direction to the camera is looking now, you can glimpse the ocean in the distance. So I think it's still fine. But apart from that, I tried to recreate it as best as I could. Obviously it was just an inspiration, so I took some creative freedom and kind of designed it how I'd like it. I did go with the outside though, the same like wooden, like worn wood. I really like that. How it I really like that texture and how it like looks a bit worn as if it's been here for a while. I then used the columns and the matching fence from Island Living. A lot of this is Island Living. I think actually the only two picks I used were Base Game and Island Living, so if you only have those two you should be good to download this. On that porch bit at the top, so basically just a quick rundown of the layout. So downstairs is the living area. So it's got the living room, kitchen, bathroom, and then upstairs is the bedroom. And then it has like this balcony off of it. And in the reference picture, it had a gap in the balcony. And it took me ages, like, why is there a gap in the balcony? That is surely a health and safety hazard. And then I like, the only reason I could come up with is because they maybe jump like out from the top of the balcony into the pool, which to me seems very dangerous. But I added it in anyway, just in case. I don't know, maybe you could add a ladder or just fill that in. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting, so I left it. The roof then did have these like two little windows, so I tried to add those in, but they just sat so weirdly. I don't know why. I just couldn't get them. Like, I feel like that's way too high, but then I tried lowering it, and then it like hid half of it. So in the end, I just had to lower it because I thought it just looked absolutely stupid with it being so high up in the air. Another quirk about this house, which I think is interesting, is you can't actually get upstairs without going outside. And I think it kind of works because obviously Sulani is very tropical and I imagine it being hot all the time, so having to go outside to go to bed or something I don't think is like major. I think if you're in any of the other worlds, I think it would be, I wouldn't do that. But because it's like an island house, I don't know, I think it just kind of works. I'm trying to find now some doors because on the reference picture, it kind of, I think they're like doors that can fold open, so create it so like it removes them in a way so they tuck away so that it kind of just has an open space. And I tried to find those and I couldn't find any. I then realised it was because I was still filtering by blue, and we do in fact have them. They're like a full frontal door window combination. Here I go, deleting all of those. And I just use the same door upstairs and downstairs because I think it's going to give that effect of being able to open those slidey doors and then just like erasing the wall kind of, if that makes sense. So downstairs, I kind of wanted to keep it open plan because obviously it's a very small house. So I felt if we like divide it into rooms, it's going to be too much. You're going to lose too much space and you're not going to really be able to fit that much furniture in. So I just tucked a little bathroom back in the corner. And then in my head, I was like, oh, there's a 2x2 square next to the bathroom. So I was going to put an office. That doesn't work out in the end because the house is smaller than my brain thought at the time. So we do use that space up for something else. I'm just coming now to add in some windows, and I like these Sulani windows because again they're like they're open. I feel like in The Sims we don't have enough windows that have the option of being open. Like they're all closed, and I do like the effect of them just being like cracked open a bit, so I added those in. I changed the ones upstairs slightly so it just wasn't the same windows like throughout the whole house. And then I added the pool in because I feel like the pool is like one of the main features of the outside. You know, you've got these big open doors and then you've got this rectangular pool directly in front of it. So I wanted to make sure I got those into place before I then started cluttering, because I didn't want to like clutter everything up, get the garden looking really good and then forget like not have enough room for the pool. So I added some seating around the pool. And I added this table, and it's only later that I realised that there is actually a better table that comes with Island Living. So I should probably switch it out for that one because I think it just goes slightly better. Then for the rest of the garden, the image didn't really have much. It kind of looks like it goes onto the beach from the view we've got. We don't have like the other side. So I just left it up to interpretation. And in my view, Sulani is very tropical. I feel like it'd be like lush green, very like overgrown with like palms and like just a lot of nature, kind of a bit jungly, I guess. So I just wanted to add in a lot of plants. Having said that though, I feel like they wouldn't have plants as in like rose bushes or like, I think the plants would be kind of a bit deserty. So although I do add in some more leafier ones, I do try and keep some more like cactuses, some ferns. Those ones I'm adding now are from Island Living themselves, so I'm like, right, that's okay. They're a bit bushier, but I feel like if they came with the Island Living pack, they must be allowed. And that orange one that's kind of by the cactus is also an Island Living one. I'm just adding in a couple more now that I've resized, and they're so cool. I feel like the swatches on those are really good. Some of them are a bit out there, so I don't think you can use them on like an everyday build, but I think for like something a bit tropical, something maybe even in Strangerville, I think those would fit in really well. And then around this plant, I wasn't really sure what to do because I didn't want to add a border. I kind of wanted to keep it like very, I don't know what the word is, kind of like organic. So I didn't want to have like pretty garden beds. I kind of wanted it to be a bit more overgrown, a bit wild. So I didn't want to enclose it in around like a border or anything. So I decided to just add some rocks around the edge to kind of give a border, but doesn't add like a specific section. And then at the back of the pool here, I had like a 1 tile space. And again, I didn't want to do like pretty flower beds because I feel like that wouldn't fit. So I kind of added in another garden, and I kind of, in my head, I know it's like not like that on The Sims, but I kind of imagine that this then just extends back until you hit like the neighbours or the jungle or whatever it is behind it. So this house would just be completely like surrounded by a lot of greenery and a lot of bushes and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of just left it a bit more organic. And then in this corner here, I added in some bins. I did add 2 because I don't know about like where you guys live, but I live in the UK, and we have multiple bins. So we have like our black bin for like trash, and then we have like recycling bins. And I feel like because these are very islandy, I feel like they're very outdoorsy, at one with nature, I think they would definitely recycle. So I added in 2 bins, and one is just like for their recycling really. I then added in some spotlights going around the outside just to add some light so when it gets dark they can see, and then some paths. So the front one is like onto the property, and then the back one, I imagined that they kind of have like a private path down to the beach. So maybe it hasn't always been there, but maybe once they bought the house they realised that if they could kind of go through there they could get to like the other side of the beach, or maybe a lagoon. So they've kind of hacked away at the foliage and made like their own path down. So that's where that goes. I then had these 2 random spaces, and I wasn't sure what to do because the reference picture doesn't really have anything here. So in one, I kind of decided to add a flower bed section and some planters, because I think they would grow their own fruit and like their own foods quite a lot. So I wanted to give them somewhere to do that. Again, I then just extended that like nature patch, I guess, just to go to the back there, just so it's like the same, like a seamless transition across to the back of the property. And yeah, I basically used the same plants quite a lot. I resized them, I recolored them, but yeah, like I said, I didn't want to use like much greenery. I wanted it to be a bit more deserty, a bit more tropical. So there wasn't that many plant options, especially only pulling from base game and Island Living. But I think it looks okay in the end. I don't think it actually looks like it's that repetitive, so I'm kind of happy with how that garden section came out. I then came in with just the dirt tool just to add some difference into the ground from where like the planters have been all the time, and you know, if they're watering them and like digging, like obviously the ground would get a bit messy, it'd get a bit torn up, so I added those in. And then I felt like it needed something else, so I came in with some single planters and I just dotted them at the back, like kind of merged them a bit in with the foliage just to kind of add some other spots where they could grow things. And then I just added some tools around, some gardening tools, some seed packets, just kind of some stuff I feel like they might use while they're out here. I did add a couple of each, just because I feel like they might have multiple sets, or I don't know, like sometimes if you like do a lot of gardening, you don't have just like one pair of shears or like one garden tool, you've got like multiple. So I added that in, and I think that turned out quite cool in the end. I am happy with that. And then on this other side, I wasn't sure what to do. I was going to add some sort of like, I think I put out a swing set. Yeah, I was going to add a swing set, but I don't imagine children living here. I really don't. It's only got one bedroom. And then I saw this fire pit and I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're like, it's outdoorsy, it's tropical. The nights are like light, it's warm, like till, like it's always pretty much warm. So I do imagine them coming here with friends, sitting around the fire and just relaxing. I feel like they'd probably eat outside a lot, so I have added in a grill. And I just think they'd just spend so much time outside that I think it'd be nice if they had like a place to sit. I did end up fencing in the property. I didn't add gates or anything because I feel like they'd have like a open home policy. I think they're very friendly with their neighbours. It's kind of like one big community and they all just like run around each other's houses, like dropping it to each other all the time. They don't like, it's not like, oh, call before you ever turn up. They probably welcome guests coming in all the time. There's always somebody here who doesn't live here. So I just thought they wouldn't really have a gate. And then I added in some chairs around the campfire. And again, just some tables to a couple of them. So they've got somewhere to put their drink, somewhere to put their like their bits and bobs, I guess. And then I did this bike out the front, and I love the little bunch of flowers it's got in the basket in the front. I think that's so adorable. And I feel like they'd use the bike to get around because I don't imagine this island being very big. So they can like just bike everywhere that they need to go. I then just went in and finished off fencing here. I added in this like archway. I think it's like a wedding arch, like originally. But I thought it looked like I thought it like looked quite cool going into that seating area. I thought it was a bit something different rather than just leaving the fence empty again, like just a gap. I did like that. And then from where I'd added in that fence in the flower section, I just needed to shuffle some bits around because they were now overlapping. I did also think I'd do it later, of adding in some sort of bar, but those island living bars are so big that I just feel like they just didn't fit. Like I felt like if I'd added one in, I'd have had to get rid of a lot of the garden. And I liked the garden how it was, so it wasn't a sacrifice I was prepared to make, if I'm honest. So they don't have a bar. I think this is it. I've tried one, like, there we go. Look how big it is. I mean, they are really cool. And then I looked at this one, I was like, oh, maybe we could make one, but I was like, it doesn't really fit the theme. So that one was the most, the closest I could find, I think. But I just decided not to do it. They can just go in for their drinks. It's not that far. So then moving on inside, I wanted it to be very bright and very airy in here. So I used a light wooden floor. I was then like flicking through the island living wallpapers, and I feel like some of these aren't great. Like that first one I pulled out, I feel like that's such a niche wallpaper. Like you can't use that in like the 99% of houses. Just like one specific style could use it. But I went with this wooden one in the end, and I do like it. I think it fits that like that nice airy theme. And then in the bathroom, I wanted it to be like a bright colour, like an orange or a red. In the end, I did go with yellow, and just something like to match like the foliage outside, because the foliage is very bright, like the local plants are very colourful, so I kind of wanted to bring that inside a little bit. And then I just added these pine, what would you call that, pine maybe, I'm not 100% sure, doors just to get inside. I was going to add a shower in here, but then I couldn't fit it, so we added in, I added in this one, because the other shower I decided to use as a outdoor shower, because I feel like they'd go surfing a lot, or like to the beach, and I feel like when they come back from the beach, they don't like traipse all the sand inside, so they'd have a shower outside. So I do put that somewhere after. And now I'm just pulling out. I did try and find a yellow counter, but the yellow was a hideous shade of yellow, and I wanted like more, not like a muted yellow, just a nice yellow, and we don't have it. So I settled for a yellow mirror instead. I then added these lights either side of the window and a toilet, and then I just come in and clutter it up. The space isn't huge, so we can't add too much clutter, but I do add these two little yellow mats I found, one in front of the sink and then one in front of the shower. As always, toilet roll, like a soap dispenser. I don't imagine this sim like having too much clutter. I think they'd have some stuff around to like show their personality, but I don't imagine like there being stuff everywhere and it being like really messy. I think it'd be like kind of orderly. So I added in some dressing gowns, and then here I kind of had this idea to put the sunscreen above the mirror because there's kind of like this little lip here. And I feel like this house, because of where it is, it'd have so much sunscreen. But this sunscreen is tiny. I did try sizing it up, but it just goes like way too big. So it goes like complete in the opposite direction. But I kind of like how that looked, just with it like popped up there. Because obviously they don't have too much space. So they just put it above the mirror. And yeah, that was a handy hack I just found. In the shower then, I just added like a little caddy. And then I think I just added in a towel rack. Yeah, just like a hand towel. And I think, and then I add in some towels. And then the final thing in here is I think I add in a little picture above the toilet because I think they just have art I do put a few pieces of art in. I try to keep them like nature themed. So I just add one above the toilet there. And then coming into this area, it did take me a minute to kind of figure out how I wanted to divide it. I do find that sometimes with open plan concepts, I do find the layout like a little bit challenging because I never know like how to do it so that you have still two distinct rooms. So we still have an area that is obviously a living room and an area that is obviously a kitchen without them overlapping, but also like giving space to them both. So this was where I was still trying to save that corner for an office or something, and I realised, yeah, you ain't gonna do that, are you? This house is not big enough. So I decided to put the kitchen like along that back wall, and in the end I think it turned out really well. I do like the layout of this downstairs house. I feel like it's open, but it's still like furnished in a way that makes it homely, if that makes sense. So I added like a rug and then this island living, what's it called? Coffee table, but it's so big. Like I tried to size it down, but that shoots me in the foot later because when I try and add clutter to it, everything hovers, like no matter how hard I try. So that does get sized back up. I gave them a little telly because I think they might watch telly occasionally. I don't think they're like super into it though. And like I said, I think they spend a lot of time outside, surfing, having barbecues, hanging out. So the TV is just kind of there for like every now and then they might watch it. But it's not really like the centre point of their lives. So I just gave them like a little one. Here's me having an issue adding in all this clutter to this coffee table because I've downsized it. So in the end, I just have to just kind of put it back and accept that it's just the world's largest coffee table. These three vases or like statues, I'm honestly not sure what you'd call them. I'd probably call the two at the back a vase and then the one at the front a statue. They are all from Island Living. And then I thought it'd be quite cool if we could add a plant in the middle. I wanted something tall, like that would like stand up above them just to create some height difference. But I feel like we don't have a lot of tall house plants that aren't like, that wouldn't just go on the floor. So I want something that would go on a surface, but I wanted it taller. And I feel like we just don't have that. So I went with this cactus in the end because I thought it had like a really cool swatch, just like a galaxy blue. And there was also a purple one. And I thought it kind of looked a bit like spacey, kind of like alien-y. I don't know, I liked it, so I used it. And then over on this side, I did think about adding in a desk, but there wasn't really enough room with the door into the bathroom and then the sofa. Yeah, there we go. Immediately delete it. So in the end, I just added in like a side unit. I think this turned out quite nice in the end. I was going to add a bookcase, but then I was like, well, I've put that art on the wall and I liked the art, so I was more prepared to get rid of the bookcase than the art. So I added in a side table. And then I just framed it with a lamp and a plant, which I thought looked good. I pulled out those, like, they're like, I don't know what you'd call them, room dividers. And I was thinking about maybe using those as art on the wall, but I didn't. I quickly got rid of that idea because I kind of liked how this was looking. And I just added some plants over there. I do add quite a few plants, both outdoor, as you see, and indoor. I had like some clusters everywhere because I just feel like it'd be very plant heavy in here. So yeah, in the kitchen, I just had it like as a wraparound. So I initially had the fridge in the corner, and then the only space it left for the oven was right by the end table in the living room. And I thought that wouldn't really make sense because when the oven gets hot, I felt like it just wasn't the best place for it. So I swapped the fridge and the oven over. I added in a bin because I really forget to add bins all the time. So I was like, right, put it in now before you forget. And then we don't have too much space and we need to keep like one side clear for prep and stuff. So I just added in some basic clutter, so kitchen roll, some utensils, and then like this little stand that has some condiments on it. And that's about it in terms of side clutter, which isn't a lot for me. I am a very clutter heavy person. I think clutter can bring a house together, but like I said, I don't imagine the sim having that much stuff around, so I did have to hold myself back. I did add in though some pots and pans, which are my new favourite thing to add above the oven. I've been doing that a lot in builds. And then I found this it's like a shabby chic, I guess, looking wall art. So I added that next to the window, and then another plant. I do say they show up quite often in this house. And then like a really big spoon and fork above the window. I mean, I feel like they'd have brought it just because they saw it and was like, that is absolutely mad. I have to have that in my house. Like, just so they could show their friends, like, have you seen how big this spoon and fork is? So I added that. And then in terms of lighting, I just added in this big chandelier and then a wall lamp onto the wall, because I feel like this place is, like, during the summer in the UK, it's light really like late. I feel like it's just constantly light here. I don't think it gets like super dark at night, so we don't need that much lighting, but I added some because obviously it's The Sims and it gets dark. And then upstairs I went with like this peachy corally theme, which I think this bedroom turns out really well. I do like this. So again, most of the furniture from here is just from Island Living. We have the bedspread, which has like this coral colour, and then we add nightstands and a dresser in the corner. I use the same chandelier from downstairs because there's not that many options for standing chandeliers, and also for standing lamps either, because you don't want an open flame in your house. These night lights, or like table lamps I've added either side of the bed, are some of my favourites in the game. I just think they're so pretty. It's like a bowl of like petals with a candle in it, I think. I mean, it's a fire hazard, but it's The Sims and they don't go on fire. I added in curtains. I don't imagine this place having like curtains, like thick curtains you'd draw. I imagine they're more so that like it keeps the heat out and like maybe bugs and stuff. So they are very like light netty curtains that I think match it well. I added in like a really big camera because I think they're probably into photography. You know, they always trekking through the jungles, they go on the beaches. I feel like they visit some very picturesque places and they could take some really amazing photos with them. I add this rug on the floor, which it reminds me of a sunset. So that's basically why I picked it, because I looked at it and I was like, that is very sunsetty, and I thought it just fit the vibe of this house, so I used it. I wanted to add a chair in here, but I also thought, like, if I just had a chair in the section, I think it was like a bit of a wasted space. I didn't fit the desk in downstairs, so I did decide to add it up here instead, just so they have somewhere where they can use the computer if they want. Like I said, I don't think they're that technical or like they spend that much time on it, but it's just there if they need it. So I added kind of an older one. I don't think they'd have the latest model. They've probably had it for a few years. They don't use it a lot, so they're just not going to upgrade it just for the sake of it. And then the chair nicely fit in this corner, which I was glad of. I then wanted to add something to the wall, and I wasn't sure what, because we have like the curtains and stuff, which I feel like are a feature in their own right. So instead I just added in like this little bookcase, and then I'm not sure if I add in some art on the other side. We'll keep watching because I might. I then just pulled out some basic clutters to go on the desk. So some tissues, which after pulling them out, I was like, probably wasn't the best place for them next to the computer, but there we go. I then pulled out some books and again some sunscreen, because I feel like they have the balcony, so they might just keep their sunscreen on the desk. This pear photo frame, which I just imagine has, I don't know, a picture of their friend or something. Probably not a pear. And then I had to delete the computer because I put the Apple one underneath it and I couldn't pick it back up again. So I do get the computer back, do not worry. And I think that's about it in terms of clutter. We have the stack of books like at the bottom of the desk there, but I don't think that, like I keep saying, I don't think they'd have too much. Oh yeah, I did find this art piece, which I thought was like a bit like abstract, and I don't know, I just thought it went well. But then I covered 90% of it up with this plant. It's okay though, I think it's fine. And then again, I just had a small cluster of plants down there. I feel like they're quite into like propagating, and like they are quite into gardening. So I think if their plants, like what there was a chance to propagate their plants and like create more, I think they definitely would. Which is how I justify having like multiple of the same plant, just because they keep propagating it, and then all of a sudden they're overran with all these plants. I then do add a little painting above the seat, and I wanted to add in this big fluffy plant because. When I say fluffy, I don't mean like physically fluffy, I mean like fanny, because I never use it because it's so big. So in the end I put the guitar downstairs so then I could fit it in. And then on this balcony, I kind of just put another seating area. I don't actually put too much out here. I imagine it's more of a place where they relax. Like I can imagine them maybe coming up here to have their like morning coffee. It's more just a chill space. Maybe like late at night, if there's no one else here, they'll sit up here rather than downstairs. So I just add in a couple of couches and then some end tables, because I feel like if you have a couch, you have to have an end table next to it, because where else are you going to put your coffee? I do try and put one of these plants in again, and it's too big, so I opt for this one instead, which is another of my favourite plants. This has been overtaken though by the one that like has a plant pot that looks like a sack, but this used to be my favourite plant. And then in the corner I add some more cactuses and some sunflowers, just for like a little pop of colour. I then add a rug, and I'm looking at what lights to do, and these two are the only two from Island Living that I've not used, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to use one of them just for something different. So I add in this flowery one, and then I really wish I had some more string lights. I think there are a couple more that are in packs I don't have, but this is just the base game one. It's the only one I have, and yeah, I just wish they were bigger. But I have like the genius idea to add them going across like the columns here, and I do like how it turns out. They're a bit of a night meta place, and you can't look at them too closely because they're a bit janky, but from afar they are really good. There are some others that I've seen. I'm not sure if they're in like the backyard stuff or maybe the toddler pack, I feel like. I don't know, but they're more stringy, like they're more bulbs, and the thread connecting them is larger, which I think would have gone a lot better. But these are the only ones I had, and I thought they'd look really good out here, and they do look really good. They're just probably not the best ones to have put out here, but they are the only ones I have, so unfortunately it's what we have. I think they need to add some to base game, because I think outdoor lighting like that is very popular. Not even just tropically, I think a lot of people have like outdoor string lights, and I think these give off more kids' bedroom vibe, when I wanted more, I don't know, just like adults, I just guess. Just like plain bulbs would have been fine. I realised here that we were really out. Some of them were hovering, and I mean, I will take overlapping slightly, but I won't take hovering in midair. So I do come round and kind of attempt to fix the ones that are a bit off. But yeah, once you've got the roof up and you don't look at it too close, which you won't because it's never really in your view when you're playing, it is fine. I added the guitar in the corner because I feel like somebody is definitely cracking out Wonderwall by that campfire, and then I just put the outdoor shower kind of nestled into the foliage a bit at the back of the pool. And at the front here, I kind of wanted like an equipment place. I feel like I've said, I feel like they'd be surfing a lot, but we don't have any standing up surfboards, and I feel like they missed a trick there. With Island Living, they definitely should have given us some surfboards, because it just looked really good here. So in the end, I just pulled out some like crab pots. I resized them. And I just kind of had this as like a store area, because I don't want to take their wetsuits inside. They don't want to take like all their grubby gear inside. So I just thought they'd have like this little spot out front. I feel like the neighborhood is very like trusting. So I think that nobody would come and steal it. Everybody is kind of just, everybody leaves their stuff outside and it's completely fine. And then either side of the entryway here, I just added in some more gardens because there was an empty space and I thought it looked ripe for some plants. I think that sometimes the more plants you add, the better it gets. So I just kept going with that until there was literally no room for more plants. But I do think it turned out really well in the end. I did add another palm tree. Just for, again, some height difference, just so not everything is on the same height. And then I bordered it with some more rocks, just so it's like an official plant bed, I guess. Like it's kind of like a designated zone and it doesn't just look, because otherwise I feel like it if you don't add in flower beds, it's kind of like, well, why didn't you continue it further along? So it just had an unofficial end. And then I was really paranoid my game was going to crash, so I had to give it a quick save because it kind of started going a bit, it didn't lag or something, but I clicked something and it didn't click, and I was like, oh god, am I going to crash? But it turns out like half of the rock was like out of the border of the house, so it was like, it wasn't working. But yeah, this is it. I'll show you some screenshots now at the end. Just some final pieces of it put together. And I had a lot of fun with this. I really love how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I'll pop it on the gallery if anybody wants to download it or take a look. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if there's any other specific builds you want me to do and I can take a look. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. And I will catch you next time. Bye!